urat. Bangkitlah!
The movie begins in 1990 when we see a man brutally beating his daughter 𝐂𝐃𝐄𝐒 for becoming pregnant out of wedlock, and she miscarries due to a fall from the stairs. We then see her with her boyfriend Nasir, who is burying their dead child. But she stops him by saying that her child is alive, and then she digs it back out. They then visit a lady, who gives her a book saying everything she needs to know has been written in this book, and if she obeys the rules, it will happen for certain. Now the scene shifts to a graveyard where a funeral is taking place, and we see Hajar among some people there. Suddenly she notices that everyone is staring at her, and then many ghosts surround her and a hand pulls her inside the ground. But this turns out to be a nightmare, and we see her with her husband Arshad in 2022. Arshad then lights a cigarette, due to which Hajar starts having trouble, and only then an entity haunts her. Then after some time, they reach their destination and they see Nasir at the gate. We then see that Hajar is pregnant, and she asks Zaini, has anything ever happened in this house, as she found a blog that mentioned a lot of people have disappeared from this area. But only then Arshad asks her not to talk nonsense. Now after some time, she is clicking the photos of the house when suddenly her stomach hurts, and she sees a strange tree there. She is about to click its photo when an entity jumps on there and disappears, and a lady says that tree never fails to attract everyone's attention, and then she asks her to come in. Now when she comes in, Arshad tells her it smells like something died in here. She then sees someone in the mirror, but suddenly the clock rings and the lady says that this is her favorite song. She then hugs her and tells her that her name is 𝐂𝐃𝐒, but she can call her 𝐀𝐋𝐖𝐀𝐃𝐒. Later, we come to know that both of them have come there to get Hajar's abortion done, and 𝐀𝐋𝐖𝐀𝐒 asks them whether it is a boy or a girl. Arshad says that they had got the scan done but they could not find anything clear. 𝐀𝐋𝐖𝐀𝐒 says she will later perform a traditional ceremony that will reveal the gender of her child. She then later performs the ceremony and tells her that it is a boy, and when she touches her stomach, she feels something strange. She asks her if has she done anything during this pregnancy, to which Hajar tells her that her baby is deformed, maybe because she did all sorts of bad things, like she smoked, drank, and ate a lot of acidic foods. She tried everything to terminate the pregnancy, but nothing happened except to make this baby deformed. 𝐀𝐋𝐖𝐀𝐒 gives her a drink and asks her to calm down, and then asks her why she wants to get rid of this baby. Hajar says she couldn't even look after her brother, and that is why her mother hates her so much, and even now more with a child out of wedlock. 𝐀𝐋𝐖𝐀𝐒 tries to explain to her that she could be a good mother and that a child is God's gift to them. She says she will look after her and this child well right up until she births, and we again see that entity outside the house. We then see Arshad outside talking to someone when he gets disturbed by a dog, so he shouts at it to shut up. He then continues talking and we see that the dog starts transforming into a human form and moves toward him, but then he turns into Nasir, and Arshad gets quite shocked to see that from where did he suddenly come here. Here a notification comes in Hajar's phone and she gets a post on her phone about Abu Mara Hill mystery. In that, she sees the photo of the same tree and suddenly remembers that entity. Only then do we see a ghost behind her who suddenly disappears. Then she sees Nasir going to 𝐀𝐋𝐖𝐀𝐒's room, where 𝐀𝐋𝐖𝐀𝐒 tells him it won't take long until their lives will be better. Only then Arshad comes there and asks her to go to bed. After she leaves, Arshad tries to peep inside when a ghost haunts him, fearing that he runs away. Now in the night that ghost again haunts Hajar, due to which she gets sleepless. Then she sees a small door there, and when she goes there to check, she sees her brother Hazem. She gets scared and goes to her bed, where Hazem haunts her, fearing that she starts screaming, and Arshad gets angry with her and goes out of the room. The next morning 𝐀𝐋𝐖𝐀𝐒 notices that she has not slept all night, and Hajar tells her that after Hazem's death, she always dreams about him. She was 12 at that time and her brother was 6 years old. One day she was playing with her brother when suddenly something possessed and stopped her, and then she found her brother's dead body in a water tank. 𝐀𝐋𝐖𝐀𝐒 says it's her fate and they can't do anything about it, to which Hajar says her nightmare last night was not like before. Now later when she is sleeping, many hands start moving toward her and suddenly they push her into the ground. She falls straight into a water body where she sees Hazem, who suddenly opens his eyes, and when she starts moving towards him, Hazem vanishes and she falls back to her bed. Here Arshad calls Hajar's mom and asks her for 100,000 ringgit and tells her that he hates staying here. Hajar overhears him, and when he comes inside, she tells him that 𝐀𝐋𝐖𝐀𝐒 can take care of her and her baby so he can leave. He asks her not to be emotional, to which she asks him that her mom paid him to marry her and then leave here. Arshad says it's good that now she knows, and asks does she think he did all this because he loves her. He says that thing might not even be his. Suddenly Hajar screams very loudly, due to which the whole house starts shaking and Arshad gets very scared, takes his belongings, and leaves from there. Now when he is leaving there, he sees that the gate is locked and he angrily starts searching for Nasir. He goes to 𝐀𝐋𝐖𝐀 and asks her where is Nasir and asks her to tell him to open the gate. She asks him to stay a bit longer and sacrifice for Hajar's sake, to which he says he doesn't want to, and then she stabs him saying then she will sacrifice him. She then put his cigarette in his wound and he starts to suffer there. Nasir comes there and asks her why Arshad, to which she says any man who is willing to get rid of his child deserves something like this. Nasir shuts the door and says he has done nothing to hurt his child, to which she asks him to get rid of his car and she will take care of Arshad. Now seeing his car, Hajar thinks that Arshad has gone, and then 𝐀𝐋𝐖𝐀 comes there and says that he will come back, but Hajar says she doesn't want to have anything to do with him anymore. Anything from him should not be in her life, and she should have just killed this thing from the start. 𝐀𝐋𝐖𝐀 tries to calm her down saying that she is just emotional right now, and she needs to find some peace. She then gives her a bath and says that her mother should not have blamed her for 𝐻𝐿𝐿𝐿's death. She can choose her own family and it's not necessary to be related by blood or even marriage. She then gives her a dress, and when they come out, she asks her if doesn't she look beautiful like this. Only then she notices some marks on her hand, and then we see her with Nasir, who says every time she does this, she gets worse. She tells him that the ingredients for the drink have finished. Nasir asks her why she is giving it to her, because she didn't give it to the ones before. She tells him to induce the birth. This is the right child she has been searching for. The ones before this were never right. She then says that this is their dream child and they will raise this child. She is sure it will happen this time. Now that night, when Hajar was talking to her mom, a cat jumps in and she gets scared, so she throws him out of the house. But then she hears that cat screams and she comes to that tree looking for him, where she finds his dead body in a pot. Then she sees the dog eating Arshad's hand and suddenly that entity makes her fall, due to which she faints. Only then 𝐀𝐋𝐖𝐀 asks it not to touch her as it's not the right time, and she asks Nasir to take her inside. She then sees the dead body of her cat and asks the entity why it killed the cat. Now the next day, Hajar prays to God and asks him to ease the way for her to give birth to this child and protect her from any trouble. Later, she feels her child's movement, but only then it starts hurting her and tries to come out of her mouth. She then goes to 𝐀𝐋𝐖𝐀 to confront her and says she saw the cat's dead body last night in the pot, and there was something in the tree. 𝐀𝐋𝐖𝐀 says the cat was around just now and she must be dreaming, but Hajar asks her if this place has something. 𝐀𝐋𝐖𝐀 asks her to be calm as it's not good for the baby, and then she tells her the story about a girl who was pregnant out of wedlock. Her father couldn't accept it and he knew what he had to do. Nasir calls her, but she asks him for a moment and tells her that after that, no one knows what happened, but we see that she burnt her entire family alive, in which Nasir's face was also burnt. Hajar asks her so whatever is in the pot is related to this story, to which she says it's just to guard against bad things from happening, as this place is haunted and she is just following customs. She says if she is not comfortable, she can leave this place. She then tells her that they are going to town to buy some things for the baby. If she wants to leave, go ahead. Hajar sits there and 𝐀𝐋𝐖𝐀 asks her to drink that drink. Now after they leave, Hajar understands that there is something in this drink because of which all this is happening to her, and when she checks the photos in her phone, she finds that entity clinging to 𝐀𝐋𝐖𝐀. She tries to run away from there but 𝐀𝐋𝐖𝐀 had locked her, and only then she remembers the dream of 𝐻𝐿𝐿𝐿, and she opens the door and asks Hajim if he is trying to help her. She tries to escape from there, but after going a little further, she sees that dog there, and that door closes. Now that dog moves to attack her and she starts running away from him, and sees that it is actually the same entity. But she reaches another room and locks the door. There she hears the cry of a child and notices that it is 𝐀𝐋𝐖𝐀's room. She opens her drawer where she finds that book and sees that it is a satanic book. And when she removes the cover, she gets terrified seeing 𝐀𝐋𝐖𝐀's child remains. Now when she tries to flee, a girl holds her leg. She comes out under the bed and begs her not to leave her alone. Hajar asks her to hold her hand, however, it turns out to be that entity, but Hajar manages to shut her inside the room and escape there. Now before she could leave the house, 𝐀𝐋𝐖𝐀 and Nasir return home and she hides under the stairs. 𝐀𝐋𝐖𝐀 goes upstairs to see her, and when Hajar comes out, she sees Nasir standing there. She asks him what does 𝐀𝐋𝐖𝐀 want to do with her baby. Only then 𝐀𝐋𝐖𝐀 tells Nasir that Hajar is gone, and Nasir helps her to escape giving her a key and telling her that there is a jetty not far from here. He asks her to wait for him there and not stop if she sees anything. He then tries to burn that book, but 𝐀𝐋𝐖𝐀 knocks him down. Here Hajar encounters a ghost on the way, who tells her that her child belongs to her, and then Hajar faints. Meanwhile, Zaini and 𝐀𝐋𝐖𝐀 also reach there, and she says it's time. Then we see that 𝐀𝐋𝐖𝐀 has Nasir tied up, and he says that she is obsessed with this thing and becomes like her, to which she says he started it, and here it is revealed that that night, Nasir only took her to that woman. Nasir says he did that because he loves her, but she doesn't even realize that. She treats him like a slave, and it's all because of that book. She then goes to Hajar and starts performing a ritual, and we see Zaini helping her in this. Hajar asks 𝐀𝐻 for help her, but he tells 𝐀𝐄𝐒 that he is leaving. 𝐀𝐄𝐒 asks him to help with Hajar before he leave, and she will give him anything he wants. Hajar tells her she doesn't have to do this, they both can take care of this baby, to which she says she killed her family and didn't feel a thing, but she loves her because she knows she will give her back her child. Hajar says she loves her child, to which 𝐀𝐄𝐒 asks now she suddenly care. She never tries to get rid of her child even though he was a result of incest with her own father. Suddenly she starts screaming, and 𝐀𝐄𝐒 says it's time and she asks her to push harder. Soon after she gives birth to the child, and 𝐀𝐄𝐒 takes him and puts him in the cradle. She then orders 𝐀𝐻 to kill her and start summoning the spirit by performing a ritual. But before 𝐀𝐻 could kill her, the demon appears there with Arshad's head in his hand, and they both get terrified seeing it. The demon then suddenly destroys the remains of the child, and 𝐀𝐄𝐒 gets shocked to see this, after which it possesses 𝐀𝐄𝐒 and takes her away. 𝐀𝐻 tries to flee, but the demon kills him as well, and then it moves toward Hajar. Hajar asks God for help, to which demons ask if she actually knows what God means. She then goes to the child and says he is no longer her child, and he will become his master's heir. But only then Nasir reaches there and hangs her by the chains, and when he is releasing Hajar, demon reminds her of all her sins, but Nasir asks her not to listen to her. Now they were about to escape from there when Nasir sees that 𝐀𝐄𝐒 has disappeared from there, and only then she attacks him and drives a nail into his hand and pins him to the wall, after which he says that he is more honorable than them as God made him from fire and them from the earth. He tells Hajar that he is here under God's will. Hajar says he has sinned, but she loves her child, and if this is her fate, she accepts everything and there is no power nor strength except God. She then tells 𝐀𝐄𝐒 that whatever has happened to her is by God's decree, and this is all the devil's deception. She asks her to fight it, and Nasir asks Hajar to check the book. Demon tries to attack Nasir, but he stabs him with a nail and knocks him down using a drill machine. He then goes to Hajar and shows her which spell to recite, and after a while, she manages to expel the demon from 𝐀𝐄𝐒's body and send him back to hell. Nasir then goes to 𝐀𝐄𝐒, who apologizes to him and says she was deceived. She asks him to take Hajar and the child out of there, but he says he won't leave her here. Only then does the demon growl, and she says he won't let him go and he knows what to do. Now when the demon again possesses her, Nasir sets her on fire, and while they were leaving, demon tells Hajar that everything has been written. They then leave the place, and she asks Nasir what does it mean that her son is to be its master's heir, to which he says they will go to a place and maybe she will find the answer there. After this, Hajar has a dream in which she sees how that demon had possessed her that day, and killed 𝐻𝐻 by showing her reflection in the water tank. She wakes up the next day and Nasir tells her that the baby is crying. Hajar tells him that now she knows what happened to 𝐻𝐻, and that thing is following her since then. She then picks her baby up, and only then a lady comes there and tells her that her brother's death was inevitable. We then see that it's the same lady to whom Nasir had taken 𝐀𝐄𝐒. She tells her 𝐀𝐄𝐒 has failed and they have to make sure she succeeds, and it all started the moment his brother died. Everything she has gone through is predestined, including this very moment. She then gives her that book and tells her that everything she needs to know has been written in this. They are now a family and they will protect this child, and the baby smiles as she says he will become her master's heir. 𝐻𝐻 screams and says get out, and the move is end here. Please like and subscribe to my channel and click the bell icon never to miss new video updates. Thanks.